From Royal Communications Incorporated, good morning and welcome to King's News, around the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Thursday, July 24th, 2025, and I'm Newton. Talk about presenting stories we're following this morning. Bapolo County Senator Amara Kone accuses members of the executive branch of government of lack of tolerance and reconciliation, says Liberian politics has become polarized under the Unity Party-led government. Namod Partners Executive Director challenges President Joseph Walker to present his government signature project to the public. Eddie Jawara claims for nearly 3 years the government is unable to initiate its own project. The Ministry of Justice announced the implementation of 25 years contract signed between Lebanese company, Liberia Transport Management, and Ministry of Transport employees and authorities ongoing protests away from Liberia and Ethiopian officials has denied Donald Trump's claim that the United States helped form Ethiopia's new Mika Dam on the River Nile, saying it is false and destructive. Sudan's oil-rich Kordofan region has turned into a major front line in the war between the army and the rival paramilitary forces as both sides try to gain the upper hand in the conflict that has devastated the vast African state for more than 2 years. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments and our package, but we'll take a very short break. I will be right back. Thanks for rejoining us, and let's have the news bulletin. Bapolo County Senator Amara Kone has attributed lack of tolerance to officials of the Unity Party-led government, adding that Liberian politics is becoming too polarized under the UP-led government. Senator Kone, who supported President Joseph Boakai during the 2023 election, appeared to be in disagreement with the government over what he termed as that abrupt change of previous promise, inclusive governance. According to him, the idea of the government failing to give credit or acknowledge projects that were initiated by the Weah-led government and completed by the Boakai Kune administration lacks sense of reconciliation and promotion of continuity in national governance. The Bapolo County Senator, in an interview on Wokid FM Tuesday, said it is saddening to see Liberians continuously hurting each other due to politics, accusing officials of the government of doing different from what was promised. Senator Conan has criticized the government for what he called making commissioners of the Liberia Telecommunication Authority who served during the Weah-led government to resign on an agreement to allow the government accommodate new commissioners on party lines without the resigned commissioners being paid up to now. He further reiterated his consideration of the third force in the Liberian body politics, adding that the UP-led government is yet to prioritize national reconciliation and inclusive governance that would afford every Liberian the space. Namod Partners for Democratic Development Executive Director Eddie Jawara has challenged the United Party government to present its signature project, adding that for nearly 3 years in power, the signature project of the government is unknown. The Namod Executive Director also urged the United Party government to improve transparency, accountability, and deliver concrete development outcomes. He further condemned the communications approach of former ruling CDC, pointing to projects including the Emirates Hospital as examples of the former ruling party poor public information management, thus challenging the Unity Party-led administration to specify any tangible achievements since taking office. He criticized members of the National Legislature for doing little or nothing that would significantly impact citizens, warning that without proper training through a parliamentary school like those in Ghana and Sierra Leone, the country is headed nowhere. Eddie Jawara further described lawmakers as lacking direction, labeling them as mere politicians detached from effective governance. In response to recent comments made by House Speaker Richard Kun on women's representation, the NAMUN Executive Director supported the adoption of proportional representation to boost women participation in the national legislature. Eddie Jawolo, in an interview Wednesday, said that the CDC government lacked was effective communications, which resulted to many people not being informed, emphasizing that going into 3 years, the United Party-led government cannot point out to a public signature projects. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Justice, has begun the implementation of the agreement signed with the Liberia Traffic Management Incorporated. A Lebanese company, Liberia Transport Management, was awarded a 25-year contract by the Liberian government, shifting all vehicle registration and driver lesson responsibilities to the private firm. The government's action has since sparked protests among employees and authorities of the Ministry of Transport, who have accused the government of breaching the ministry's constitutional mandate. In a press statement dated July 14, the Minister of Justice disclosed that the ongoing government's initiative was introduced in 2018 under the Coalition for Democratic Change-led government, but remained inactive due to legal implications, something authorities of the Ministry of Transport believe could deprive the country of revenue generation. The Ministry of Justice also announced that the activation of the LTM contract implementation follows the Supreme Court ruling on May 28, 2025, clearing legal barriers that had temporarily stalled the agreement's execution. According to the Justice Ministry's release, the Liberia Traffic Management Incorporated will finance transfer a nationwide traffic management system during the course of the project implementation. The release added that as part of the agreement, the private entity will conduct delivery testing and certification, lesson issuance, vehicle registration, inspection, ticketing, among other things. In a related development, former representative candidate in District 16 Monserrate County has called on President Joseph Walker to halt the outsourcing of the vehicle registration from the Ministry of Transport to the Liberia Traffic Management. Achisanon emphasized the liberalization policy, stating that outsourcing the registration of vehicles to the foreign company constitutes the surrounding of 12 million United States dollars annual income to a foreign company, which would only give US $1.5 million in 1 year. And advised the government to avoid giving grants to individuals who are interested in enriching themselves at the detriment of the Liberian people, adding that the LTM deal appears to benefit few and negatively impact the larger society. Sana pointed out that the outsourcing of the Department of Vehicle Registration will cause losses of jobs for Liberians. He made the assertion Wednesday during a press conference on the Bushra Island. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has issued Level 2 travel health notice for Liberia and Sierra Leone, citing confirmed cases of mpox in the U.S. travelers recently returning from the two Western African nations. According to a statement released by the U.S. Embassy near Monrovia, the advisory urges travelers to practice enhanced precautions due to resurgence of mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, in the region. The CDC's alert underscored growing concerns about the virus reemergence, which had previously been controlled through targeted vaccination campaigns and public health efforts. The agency also raised broader concerns about the global health preparedness and effectiveness of screening protocols at international borders. The Global Health Experts Institution added that the particular alarm rate of mpox cases identified after the affected individuals arrived back in the United States. This delay, the CDC noted, points to ongoing gaps in early detection and international coordination issues that hindered the global response during the COVID-19 pandemic and continue to threaten public health responses to emerging diseases. Travelers to Liberia and Sierra Leone are advised to avoid contact with sick individuals or animals, maintain good hygiene practices, and seek immediate medical attention if symptoms develop after returning. It was some legal analysts had calling a judicial standoff in the making. Liberia faces raising concerns over a potential constitutional clash within its highest court. At the center of the debate, President Joseph Boakai reportedly preparing to commission the newly confirmed Chief Justice Yemin Gbese as the next Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, despite Chief Justice Siana Yo is still legally in office. Chief Justice Yo, who recently turned 70, is constitutionally permitted under Article 72B to remain seated in order to conclude cases she began during the March term of court. The clause of the Constitution gives her the authority to stay beyond the mandatory retirement age for that purpose. The Environmental Protection Agency, in partnership with the U.S. government, has officially dedicated its newly renovated headquarters in Monrovia, reportedly valued at US 75,000. Authorities of the EPA have termed the renovated project as part of the government's commitment to environmental protection and scientific research, and in and across Liberia. Addressing scores of newsmen and international partners during the dedicatory ceremony Wednesday in Monrovia, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn emphasized the importance of modernizing the EPA's infrastructure to better address current and future environmental challenges. According to VP Kuhn, the EPA, which is the nation's environmental watchdog, has endured numerous challenges over the years, adding that these challenges have hindered its operations, which has complied with environmental laws and standards. The Liberian Vice President further described the unveiling of the new EPA headquarters as a beginning of a new chapter for the entity, stating that the facility will provide employees and staff functional and dignified workspace. He remarks the executive director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Emmanuel Yakpawolo, commended the U.S. government for its continued support and commitment to the entity, describing the dedication of the new headquarters as a milestone achievement that will significantly strengthen the EPA's operational capacity. The EPA boss also outlined several challenges the agency has faced, noting that these difficulties have hindered its effectiveness and also breached international environmental standards. The Executive Mansion has announced Reverend Emmett Dunn as the official orator for Liberia's 178th Independence Day celebrations to be held on July 26. Reverend Dunn is a pastor and an international Baptist with decades of spiritual leadership and a lifelong commitment to community development to his national road. He was ordained in 1987 at Providence Baptist Church and served as assistant minister and director of Christian education before departing for the United States in 1988 on a scholarship from the World Council of Churches. Reverend Don also holds a Bachelor of Theology from the Liberia Baptist Theological Seminary, a graduate certificate from the Protestant Episcopal Seminary of Virginia, and a Master of Divinity from Howard University School of Divinity. Meanwhile, following Reverend Don's selection as the country's 178th Independence Day orator, he noted that his selection underscored Liberia's recognition of its diaspora and the contributions to religious leaders to national unity and moral direction. Dozens of occupants of Nipo Street in central Monrovia are left displaced as the result of government's recent massive demolition exercise in the area. Nipo Aranda Street community with over 5,361 inhabitants and other areas in central Monrovia have hugely been affected by the government demolition exercise as several structures, including homes and businesses, have been destroyed. Some of the displaced individuals who spoke with King's FM expressed deep frustration in the government, accusing the government of demolishing their homes and businesses without prior notice to have enabled them to properly vacate the area. A local businessman identified as Alfred Saturday said prior to the demolition, the government, through the Ministry of Public Works, marked their structures but did not notify them about the demolition, stating that they were taken by surprise. Saturday and others who claim of losing their businesses and properties are demanding the government to resettle them. And Scores of debtors, including present and past government officials, are reportedly troubled by Eco Bank Liberia Limited decision to delinquent creditors. Recently, the bank, through a broad resolution, instructed the Global Partners Associates Law Office to initiate legal proceedings on delinquent debtors to recover overdue and delayed loan payments obligation. As a result of the financial institution's action, our judicial correspondent says some of the debtors, including present and past public officials, as well as lawyers, were seen trooping to EcoBank Liberia Limited Central Office apparently to renegotiate their long-term payments. The intent of those debtors to hurriedly assemble at the bank's central office in Monrovia is to avoid the confiscation of their properties. The bank is expected to begin confiscating delinquent debtors' properties at the time the country is about to observe its 178th Independence Day on Saturday, July 26, 2025, in Monrovia. What if you just joined us? A reminder you're listening to King's News, Broom, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Thursday, July 24th, 2025, and I'm Newton, took by presenting stories we follow in this morning. Bapolo County Senator Amara Kone accuses members of the executive branch of the government of lack of tolerance and reconciliation, says Liberian politics has become polarized under the Unity Party-led government. Namot Partners Executive Director challenges President Joseph Boakai to present his government signature project to the public. Eddie Jawulu claims for nearly 3 years in office, the government is unable to initiate its own project. The Minister of Justice announced the implementation of 25 years contract signed between Lebanese company Liberia Transport Management amidst Minister of Transport employees and authorities ongoing protests. And away from Liberia, an Ethiopian official has denied Donald Trump's claim that the United States helped fund Ethiopia's new Mika Dam on the River Nile, saying it is false and destructive. Sudan's oil-rich Kordofan region has turned into a major front line in the war between the army and the rival paramilitary forces as both sides try to gain the upper hand in the conflict that has devastated the vast African state for more than 2 years. We'll take another break and we'll come back. We'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Thanks for rejoining us and welcome back. Bapolo County Senator Amara Kone has attributed lack of tolerance to officials of the Unity Party-led government, adding that the Liberian politics is becoming too polarized under the UP-led government. Senator Kone, who supported President Joseph Boakai during the 2023 election, appeared to be in disagreement with the government over what he termed as abrupt change of previous promise inclusive governance. According to him, the height of the government failing to give credit or acknowledge projects that were initiated by the Weird government and completed by the Boakai Kun administration lacks a sense of reconciliation and promotion of continuity in national governance.
It's becoming too polarized. Look at what's happening with the projects in Bon and Nima counties. Look at all this talk about who started it. But people forget that in 2018, the same thing happened when President Weah was dedicating projects here. Both sides trying to take credit for what and what.
Yeah.
The EAWA rule, and so on and so forth. Does it matter?
Certain roles in Nimba
Yeah,
County
does it
in the
matter?
southeast.
Does it matter at this point when we all say government is continuity and so on? Does it hurt that at these programs we can be honest and say we want to thank this president for initiating this? I want to thank my team for completing it. Isn't that, wouldn't that be part of the reconciliation to close the gap? But when we polarize our politics and we don't think about its impact on those who elect us, I don't like that kind of game. And I'm beginning to see that our friends in the UP are becoming less tolerant. They were just in the opposition a few years ago, and some of them were maltreated, and all of us stood for them. How can you come in a government now and you try to do the same thing? For example, at the LTA, the old commissioners under the WIA regime were asked to resign to create space for these new commissioners to come in. Then all of a sudden, the new commissioners are being confirmed, but then there's a debate about whether they pay those old commissioners. That's wrong. We can't keep hurting each other every time we get power, and we just hurt each other in this country. We're just one people. If you made an agreement with them to step aside and you will pay them, pay them. Don't put them through that kind of stuff. So, I mean, where are we going? So this is where the whole idea of a third force is beginning to resonate with me, but I'm not there yet. I just hope that, you know, all of my friends on both sides can see me as the black sheep. I'm an old cat in this politics.
But do you think
He's Bapolo County Senator Amara Kwanede speaking. NAMOD, Partners for Democratic Development Executive Director Eddie Jawulu has challenged the Unity Party government to present its signature project, adding that for nearly 3 years in power, a signature project of the government is unknown. The NAMOD Executive Director also urged the Unity Party government to improve transparency, accountability, and deliver concrete development outcomes. He further condemned the communication approach of former ruling CDC, pointing to projects including the Emirates Hospital as example of former ruling party poor public information management, thus challenging the Unity Party-led administration to specify any tangible achievements since taking office.
But now, the Unity Party get the opportunity. But what signature project can anyone say this is the Unity Party project? We go to tell you, what is it? If you can't have that type of project, it's very difficult for you to succeed. Invest the money into now realizing infrastructure development, better education, better healthcare, and then it's going to be better for everybody. But holiday, people just want better life. But if you even go to the hospital, I almost lost a very close friend. Now, right now, I want to almost all the hospitals I put in each of the party medical doctor. I have money in my pocket. So most they have a program. You go to the hospital and then most of the doctors go home. All the big hospitals they have by 12-1, you go there. Either there's no space or they put yourself on an emergency story home, they give you money, the doctor can message. I'm not seeing it. And when you see that thing you did, you want to communicate it. And nobody has seen a photo of the hospital people. The MS, nobody knew that our photo were all over the side, right? The campaign unit, the CDC, was just about to say with that.
He's NAMOD Partners for Democratic Development Executive Director Eddie Jawulu. They're speaking. In a related development, former representative candidate in District 16, Monserrate County, has called on President Joseph Boakai to halt the outsourcing of vehicle registration from the Ministry of Transport to the Liberia Traffic Management. Achisano emphasized the Liberianization policy, stating that the outsourcing of registration of vehicles to the foreign company constitutes the surrender of 12 million United States dollars annual income to a foreign company, which would only give US $1.5 million in 1 year.
As a patriot, one who has fought for social justice and liberalization policy and suppression, I have come to the realization that the traffic management contract that was signed that all of my investigation have been proving that it was bogus, against national interests, is unpatriotic, against liberalization policy as well. We have found out that certain group of public officials have been involved into the contract for personal interest, for share with our investment. That percentage will come as a result of exploiting the Liberian citizens. Transport Ministry generates 10 to 12 million per annum. In 25 years, that is 250 million. He brought in a contract and gave it to a foreign company against Liberian interests for 40 million for 25 years. So if you are to do the calculation, 25 years, 250 million, but 24 years, the country will be losing $210 million within 25 years. What sense does it make? Those are employed at Ministry of Transport. Some of them will be laid out. Can we take the presidency from our president Joe Biden and give it to Lebanese? Absolutely not. Will he agree? No. Can we take the police director job and give it to for Governor Como and give it to Lebanese? Absolutely not. Can we take the justice minister job and give it to take it from the justice minister and give it to Lebanese? Absolutely not. I will support that because I protect Liberian interests, because I am a patriot. If we can't do that, why do we want to do it to our people who voted us? The president is doing some good things. Why is true that there are some other things, bad things, but there are other people in government are doing it. He may not know, he may know, I don't know. But this are brought to my attention to allow him to be informed that this is going to tarnish his reputation when it comes to patriotism. Cannot take the transport ministries and offload it to foreign interests, security wise, revenue wise, and also employment issues. I've stayed on to appeal to the president to pull forth to this.
His former representative candidate in District 16 Mosurada County, Archie Sino, they're speaking. It was some legal analysts are calling a judicial standoff in the making. Liberia faces raising concerns over a potential constitutional clash within its highest court. At the center of the debate, President Joseph Walker is reportedly preparing to commission the newly confirmed Chief Justice Yemin Gbese as the next Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, despite Chief Justice Yana Yo is still legally in office. Chief Justice Yo, who recently turned 70, is constitutionally permitted under Article 72B to remain seated in order to conclude cases she began during the March term of court. The clause of the Constitution gives her the authority to stay beyond the mandatory retirement age for that purpose. King's FM reporter Benjamin Johnson has a report.
Liberia judiciary stand at a critical crossroad with growing fear of looming constitutional crisis. President Bouakad is reportedly preparing to commission the newly confirmed Chief Justice Yamin Gbese as the new Chief Justice, despite the fact that the current Chief Justice Siane G. Yo remained legally seated. Chief Justice Yo, who turned 70 this year, is constitutionally allowed to continue serving in order to conclude cases she began during the March term of court. Article 72B of the Liberian Constitution permits judges to continue ruling on pending matters even after reaching the mandatory requirement age. In a statement addressed judges and magistrates, she reminded them in the nations of her constitutional authority. Was, unquote, outgoing Chief Justice Yo stated, I have not yet left office until August or thereabout. I remain the Chief Justice. I continue to hold the constitutional authority to relieve any judicial officers of their duty, and I will not hesitate to exercise that authority if necessary. Legal experts are now raising red flag, warning that if early commissioners of the new Chief Justice, while the current one remains seated, could lead to two de facto Chief Justices. A situation that could, as one analyst put it, unquote, spark institutional chaos and erode public trust in the judiciary. Meanwhile, the president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Councillor Broom, has weighed in, urging kind but with cautions. Councillor Verman pointed to three key constitutional articles that govern these transitions. Article 72B, judges must retire at age 70 but may complete pending matter. Article 54C, the president may appoint justices with Senate consent. And Article 68, no justice may resume office without first taking the office oath. His position is clear. Even if Justice Basis has been nominated and confirmed, he must not resume office before August 15 when the Chief Justice will officially retire. As August near, Liberia stands at a legal and institutional crossroad. We have Lord guarded the transition or determined misstep change the independences of the judiciary. From the Temple of Justice, I'm Benjamin Quinn Johnson, Key News, Monrovia.
Kings FM reporter Benjamin Johnson ending that report. What if you just joined us with the time 5:30 or reminder you're listening to Kings News, run the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Thursday, July 24th, 2025, and I'm Newton to be presenting. Stories we're following this morning by Pudu County Senator Amara Kone accuses members of the executive branch of the government of lack of tolerance and reconciliation, says Liberian politics have become polarized under the Unity Party-led government. Namot Partners Executive Director challenges President Joseph Boakai to present his government's signature project to the public. Eddie Jawul claims for nearly 3 years the government is unable to initiate its own project. The Ministry of Justice announced the implementation of 25 years contract signed with Lebanese company Liberia Transport Management amidst the Ministry of Transport employees and authorities' ongoing protest. Away from Liberia, an Ethiopian official has denied Donald Trump's claim that the United States helped fund Ethiopia's new mega dam on the River Nile, saying it is false and destructive. Sudan's oil-rich Kordofan region has returned into a major front line in the war between the army and rival paramilitary forces as both sides try to gain the upper hand in the conflict that has devastated the vast African state for more than 2 years. We'll take another break. When we come back, we continue with more voices. The Environmental Protection Agency, in partnership with the U.S. government, has officially dedicated its newly renovated headquarters in Monrovia, reportedly valued U.S. $75,000. Authorities of the EP have termed the renovated project as part of the government's commitment to environmental protection and scientific research in and across Liberia. Addressing scores of newsmen and international partners during the dedication ceremony Wednesday in Monrovia, Vice President Jeremiah Cohn emphasized the importance of modernizing the EP's infrastructure to better address current and future environmental challenges. According to VP Cohn, the EPA, which is the nation's environmental watchdog, has endured numerous challenges over the years, adding that these challenges have hindered its operations, which complied with international laws and standards.
Today is a proud and historic day in our nation's journey towards sustainable development, environmental stewardship, and scientific advancement. We gather not only to open a building, but to open a new chapter in Liberia's environmental development. A chapter rooted in integrity, efficiency, science, and national pride. The new headquarters of the EPA and a modern scientific laboratory we are unveiling today are symbols of the we are very one of the investment channels that use a future where development goes hand in hand with environmental protection, where public institutions lead by example, and where every Liberian, no matter their background and live in safe, clean, and resilient. For too long, the EPA, which is our national environmental watchdog, have been operating on an unacceptable condition. The agency was split into two rental buildings, none of which comply with the federal environmental laws, standard EPA is tax to enforce. This situation poses real challenges not just to the management of the nation, but also to the credibility and public image.
In remarks, the executive director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Emmanuel Yakpawolo, commended the U.S. government for its continued support and commitment to the entity, describing the dedication as the new headquarters as a milestone achievement that will significantly strengthen the EPA's operational capacity. The EPA's boss also outlined several challenges the agency has faced, noting that these difficulties have hindered its effectiveness and also breached international environmental standards.
As a vice president, seeing those members of the diplomatic corps, relevant partner, Councilor Thomas Brown, EPA family, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by extending heartfelt thanks and appreciation to you, the vice president, and to our president for the outstanding leadership and unwavering commitment to steering Liberia in the right direction. Under the president's guidance, we are witnessing new era of accountability, action, and ambition, an era which institutions like the EPA are expected not only to regulate, but also to innovate. That is exactly what we are doing here. When we assume leadership of the environmental professional agency, we realize the importance of listening, not just the policy document, but to the people who work in and with the EPA every single day. So we instituted a simple but powerful process. We opened two channels of communication, previous box and an innovation box, to collect information on our employees and stakeholders. The messages were clear and concerning. Let us share that it has no proper offices. The two buildings we rented not only lack functionality, but also fail to comply with our own environmental standards, a contradiction that undermines the very integrity of the agency. Others complain of the lack of transportation, which severely hamper our compliance and enforcement operation.
The executive director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Emmanuel Yakpawolo. Earlier, you heard the voice of Liberian Vice President Jeremiah Cohen. Dozens of occupants of Nipo Street in central Monrovia are left displaced as a result of government's recent massive demolition exercise in the area. Nipo around the streets community with over 5,361 inhabitants and other areas in central Monrovia have hugely been affected by the government demolition exercise as several structures, including homes and businesses, have been destroyed. Some of the displaced individuals who spoke with King's FM expressed deep frustration in the government, accusing the government of demolishing their homes and businesses without prior notice to have enabled them to properly vacate the area. A local businessman identified as Alfred Saturday said prior to the demolition, the government, through the Ministry of Public Works, marked their structures but did not notify them about the demolition date, stating that they were taken by surprise.
To allow us to say, oh, this area is affected, it's part of the alley or whatsoever, then at least give us like maybe 2 months or 1 month or whatsoever, at least to even compensate us to move from the area before they come and do whatever they want to do there. They didn't do that. They just came, they took us unaware. My shop was broken, the whole house I built, everything was broken. So I'm some kind of way frustrated. Right now, as I speak to you, I didn't have nowhere to go, me and my family.
So you
We're not that far by the government. The project came on their own. They just covered the project. They start busting the area. Right now, my brother, even right now, the money I want to pay from Brown to point the business here. Right now, I'm on a Brown up to $1,000 US. So I don't even know how to pay that money right now. So I'm speaking to you. And the people being running behind me every day. Every day they running behind me. Yesterday, they even called me off. I finished, I didn't have money. I've been to jail for more than 3.
So even they break this place, although they mark it, but they didn't come to notify us so period will come in to come demolish the place. And the purpose of them demolishing the place, they never disclose it to us. So we're in doubt. So all of a sudden we just see that day on a Saturday, because many say they swore and this is this, and then they call us, you see, standing or they beat us. They're sitting right on the sword. Like some of our own, they're not on the sword, but we're just near. But this building is sitting right on the sword. So everything was all damaged, even my medication, because the water flow in a lot and not build this thing on the road.
Okay.
The water flow in everybody's houses here, and they lose. Even one made a place with the umbrella, they may have a shop with everything, but the water flow in it damaged everything. So up to this time, nobody has come. The mayor is repairing it.
Some residents of Newport and Randall Streets community expressing dissatisfaction about the government demolition exercise. And away from Liberia, an Ethiopian official has denied Donald Trump's claim that the United States helped fund Ethiopia's new Mika Dam on the River Nile, saying it is false and destructive. Last week, President Trump said the controversial dam was built with United States money largely. Officials known as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the project is Africa's biggest hydroelectric plant and a major source of pride for Ethiopians. Over the 14 years it has taken to complete the grid, the Ethiopian authorities have repeatedly said that the dam was funded by the government along with contributions from the Ethiopian people. Sudan's outreach Kordofan region has turned into a major front line in the war between the army and rival paramilitary forces as both sides try to gain upper hand in the conflict that has devastated the vast African state for more than 2 years. Attacks that killed hundreds of civilians earlier this month have shifted attention to the battle for this part of the country. The region is also vital for landlocked South Sudan as its oil flows through pipelines in Kordofan before being exported, so it has a vested interest in Kordofan's stability. However, the battle for the region, which is made up 3 states with a population of close to 8 million, has intensified since June, with the armed focus on regaining the territory from the Rapid Support Forces after it made significant gains in preceding 3 months, recapturing the capital Khartoum and neighboring Gassira State, the agricultural hub of Sudan. On that note, I would like to go home on this edition of King's News, Broom, a 45-minute news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home this morning, let's remind you of stories we've been following. Babolu County Senator Amara Kone accuses members of the executive branch of government of lack of tolerance and reconciliation, says Liberian politics has become more polarized under the Unity Party-led government. Namod Partners Executive Director challenges President Joseph Boakai to present his government's signature project to the public. Eddie Jawul claims that for nearly 3 years, the government is unable to initiate its own project. The Ministry of Justice announced the implementation of 25 years contract signed with the Lebanese company Liberia Transport Management amidst Ministry of Transport employees and authorities' ongoing protests. And away from Liberia, an Ethiopian official has denied Donald Trump's claim that the United States helped fund Ethiopia's new Mika Dam on the River Nile, saying it is false and destructive. Sudan's outreach Kordofan region has returned into a major front line in the war between the army and rival paramilitary forces as both sides try to gain the upper hand in the conflict that has devastated the vast African state for more than 2 years. Join us this afternoon at 1 o'clock, at which time we'll be here with another edition of the program King's News Broom. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package our sources. My name is Newton Toba. I presented this edition of the program. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye-bye.